she is everything. She is like, when you're supposed to be like falling in love with her, she's giving off like major girl next door vibes, like so sweet, so nice, just like adorable. But then she becomes so terrifying. We got a good one to talk about today, man.
We do.
Obsession.
Ooh.
If I remember correctly, Kirk, you had this on your top most anticipated for this year?
Yeah, didn't we have to pick 3 in that exercise?
I think so.
We picked 3, and this made my top 3.
That's pretty good.
I've been watching Curry Barker when he was on TikTok with also a star of this movie.
Cooper Tomlinson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are the funniest duo I've ever seen. One of my favorite pieces of humor, what they do is they double down. They keep doubling down. They have a concept and then they keep digging deeper.
Yeah.
Keep digging deeper until you're uncomfortable or crying uncontrollably or both. Love it. I love that premise.
Yeah, it's almost like you would compare to like a Tim Robinson, I think, kind of like style of comedy, but it's different. They have their own flavor, and there's a lot of like Tim Robinson copycats out there. I wouldn't put these guys in that category because it's all very smart and well done, and it's really, really funny. Like, they, on their YouTube channel, they have like compilations of every single one of those videos they made for the whole year of 2025. Wow. And so I was watching it today. But one thing I remember from that conversation about most anticipated movies is, you're like, oh man, Curry Barker, I love his comedy, it's so good. And Stefano's like, comedy? What are you talking about? He does horror. And you're like, no. And I was like, one of these guys is wrong, because I didn't know, like, I didn't know who Curry Barker was at all at that point. And come to find out, you were both correct. Actually, yeah. It wasn't that you were both wrong; it's that you were both absolutely correct. Because as so often happens, and as we have like certainly seen over the last 10, 15 years, the line between horror and comedy is not really a line, it's a bridge. And so like people make that switch all the time. Jordan Peele, Zach Kreger. I mean, there's tons of examples. Sam Raimi, Peter Jackson. I mean, there's just tons. So it's an interesting thing, and I'm excited to dig more into it. And Curry Barker is just the next person in that lineage to be both a comedy writer director and a horror writer director.
It's pretty spectacular. I want to pick their brain apart when they die, like 100 years from now. I want autopsies to say where are the lines that connect those, and how close are they.
We'll still be alive because we're frozen in carbonite,
right?
But yeah, other than that,
that'd be really nice. Actually,
it would be nice.
Really nice, and get brought back to see, like Star Wars 47.
Yes,
because that'd
be terrible. No, well, that's a nightmare.
Let's get talking about this movie. Cam saw it. I wasn't able to, but I'm gonna go ahead and interview him and get all of his thoughts. We're gonna go take 1, take 2, take 3, top of mind of things that he wants to talk about, get off his chest, and then give us a score and rating in our last looks at the end of this episode here. So, Cam, are you ready?
I'm ready. I do think something we've been talking about is giving people a little taste of the movie beforehand, and kind of like an overarching thought. So I thought I might take a crack at that.
But before you do, we need a name for it. Do you want it to be called like First Taste?
We're just gonna name it live.
Think of some, like, what about like when you do a wine tasting? Like, what is that called? Like
first sip,
first crunch,
because it's popcorn.
We figured it out.
That's
just
it.
Like that.
First crunch.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just witnessed
We're workshopping that.
First crunch. I'm putting it on a t-shirt already as we're sitting here. Okay. First crunch. What's this movie about?
Yeah, so Obsession is what I would call high concept. It's something that I love, which is because high concept movies are made for dumb people with short attention spans, which is like me. Like, I have a short attention span, so I want to know in one sentence what's this movie about. And this movie has that, which is that a guy makes a wish that the girl that he is infatuated with would love him more than anything in the whole world, and in chaos ensues, as it so often does whenever you have a wish. So that is really the premise. Actually, I went to the screening last night, and they gave out these One Wish Willows. Kirk, will you play influencer? Will you show that? We show that off. So this is the One Wish Willow that we'll wait for it to focus a little bit. Come on. There it is. Look at that. Wow. Beautiful. So yeah, in the movie, he goes to like I don't know, like an antique store, consignment store, a store of curios, and he picks this up. And he's... Hold
on. Curios? What is this?
I don't know. Curios is like little knickknacks and things, right?
A store of curios. Spell that.
Isn't that Curios? Am I insane? Have I gone nuts, or is Kirk gaslighting me?
No, I don't. Oh no, you were actually... No, you have... such good buzzwords all the time.
Thanks, man.
Sometimes I call them out. Sometimes I Google them while you're talking. You're exactly right. Curio is a small, rare, fascinating object displayed in collections, frequently housed in glass-fronted cabinets.
I used it perfectly, as it turns out.
You are a dictionary. That's fantastic.
So he plans to pick out something for this girl. Her name is Nikki, because he wants to tell her how he feels, and he's gonna make the moment. He can't find out what to get, but then he sees one of these one wish willows and thinks, it's like a gag. She can make one wish. I'll get it.
Yeah.
Ends up using it himself in a pinch because he can't do it, and he's like, I just want her to fall in love with me. Crack, and he cracks it open. So that's what it's in. They actually gave us one. It's plastic.
Cam's gonna make his wish right now. Everybody watch.
Yeah. So I don't think I could break it. I mean, I think I could break it, but it wouldn't be very easy. Not like in the movie. And that's essentially the premise of the movie. But funny story. So when we go to these screenings, it depends on the movie and depends on the studio. This is Focus Features is distributing this one, and so they have different levels of kind of marketing. Depends on how they feel about the movie, how they want to market it, whatever. This one, they were pulling out all the stops. So they gave out the One Wish Willow. They had like a hype man there before who was like a local comedian. And so he went up and did like a few bits at the beginning to be like, who's excited about this movie? But the funniest thing was he goes, all right, everybody, crack open your One Wish Willows and let's eat these things. And I was like, eat it? Is it food? I don't think it's food, is it? But I think he just like saw the packaging and thought like, oh, it's like a Toblerone.
You thought it was candy,
because it has that like triangular shape. And so I like quickly just peeked it because I didn't want to open it. I was like, I'm gonna peek. I'm like, yeah, definitely not food. I was like, I wonder how many people cracked that open and just took a bite, think it is like black licorice or something. But he was dead wrong about what that was, and it was hilarious.
I love that guy. We got to get his name because
I didn't catch it. But
we'll get his name from the team that shows us this movie. We want to see his name in life.
It was
someday.
So good. But yes, that's the plot of Obsession. Guy breaks one of these things, makes a wish, and insanity.
I mean, talk about first crunch, quite literally, right there.
Pretty good.
I love it. So let's dive into your opinions on this movie. Cam,
Yeah.
Are you ready? I'm gonna do the clapper mark with my forearm. Are you
Let's
ready?
do it. Yeah. Let's jump in.
Take one.
Take one. I'm gonna go with an acting performance, which way back yonder, like a few months ago, we used to always start with acting performances, and now we can pick whatever we want. But I am gonna start with an acting performance because this movie, Kirk, has an acting performance that is like just really sets the tone of the movie and elevates this movie to an insane degree. And it is the young lady who plays Nikki. Indy Navarrete is her name, and she's been in Superman and Lois. She's been in a few things, but this is really her first like really big role. And she plays Nikki, who is the villain of this. She's the person who is the victim of the wish from the main character, and so she is both like the antagonist, but also the love interest in this movie, and she's the one who gets snapped into falling in love with this guy.
Okay, and
so her performance, I think. If you watch the trailers, you're thinking to yourself, like, I think I know what's going on here, right? We've seen similar concepts of this. There's lots of examples in cinema and TV and storytelling of be careful what you wish for, that kind of trope. But this was, I was expecting sort of like a Stepford Wives or almost like an Ex Machina, like the robot has gone wrong type thing, sinister vibe. This was so much more layered, so much more dynamic than that because of, I think, both the directing and writing of Curry Barker and how he chose to approach this scenario, his direction of Indy as an actor and the choices that they made together through that creative process, and then just Indy Navarrete's ability as an actor, which was on full display. She's such a dynamic performer. She can do so many different expressions with her face, and she was totally fearless with that. I mean, I heard her kind of talk in press junket about her and Curry Barker, like working through faces, working through sounds, working through screams. And so I know that there was she was given like a safe place to kind of experiment and explore that, which is awesome.
Workshop.
Yeah. And they were going to keep doing it until they got it right. And it just pays major dividends because she is everything. She is like, when you're supposed to be like falling in love with her, she's giving off like major girl next door vibes, like so sweet, so nice, just like adorable. But then she becomes so terrifying in like so many ways and just like creepy. There's times where she comes across as innocent, but there's other times where she comes across as like super devious, super scary, super, pitiful, like somebody that you pity. There's just so many layers to it. And so it's not just this like, I'm a robot who's programmed to do one thing. She is reacting to, I'm forgetting the character's name, but the
Character name is Bear.
yeah, Baron is the character's name, but she is reacting to everything he's reacting to. And so as she is showing her love for him, based on the premise of the wish, sometimes she goes too far and he's like, whoa, that's freaking me out. She's recalibrating. And so her character is always evolving, always changing. And there's this sort of sinister nature that sort of takes hold with that. But I just love the way that they went through it. It could have been so phoned in and basic, and they chose to be fearless, courageous, experimental, and they got a really, really, really good performance out of Indy Navarrete. I thought she was fantastic.
This is adjective night here on Popcorn for Breakfast.
I've used a lot.
They're so good.
I'm all out. There's no more in the bank.
That's it. Let's get your score. Incredible. So I just scanned her filmography. I was a big 13 Reasons Why guy back in the day.
Oh, was she in that?
She is. She's in the final season. Went on for way too many seasons, but yeah, don't remember her at all.
There you go.
But I'm excited for her to success in this movie. That's fantastic.
I am too, and there's no doubt that this leads to more roles for her. I think this movie is going to be a hit, largely because of her, and I think that it's going to lead to tons of opportunities, very well deserved.
Perfect. Obsession 2. We won't talk about that yet. Here we go. Take 2, though.
Yeah, Take 2. I want to pivot back to Curry Barker, who is the mind behind this movie. I think all of his shorts and his feature film Milk and Cereal, which I watched on YouTube, start or end with "From the Mind of Curry Barker," and so he is the mind behind this, And what I really like about him, and to be clear, like, I did not love any of the stuff I saw from Curry Barker before I saw this movie. I liked all of it, to varying degrees, but I didn't love any of it. There was always something that held me back from being like, this was almost really great, but then you did this, or you made that choice or whatever. But the one thing I consistently love about him is his scare variety.
Okay.
And his scare quality, because I think he chooses a lot of different things. Now we hear a lot about, as horror evolves, as it has done since like 2010, when there was sort of like this like horror renaissance going on. If you think about like, the Jordan Peele type stuff, but even before that, like Cabin in the Woods, some of these more like self-aware or genre bending kind of horror movies.
Yeah, kind of kick-started from Scream, They were kind of living that thread, that passion.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not to say that horror hasn't been doing cool things for a long time, but there's just like, there has been a renaissance and explosion, something happening there. And since that time, I feel like horror fans too have gotten a little snobby, and they're like choosy. Well, it's all jump scares or what, you know what I mean? And so this movie is not that. What Curry Barker has done so consistently, and what he has a real knack for, is taking traditional horror tropes and using them against you to say, you're expecting a scare right now. I'm not going to give it to you. I'm not going to give it to you. You feel safe right now. Boom, here's a scare. And maybe that one's a jump scare. Or, you don't know how to feel right now. You're feeling uneasy. I'm going to just pour dread. I'm just going to pour dread on you. And you're not going to feel a jump scare. You're not going to feel a resolution. You're just going to feel sick. And so there's so much going on in this movie where there are traditional scares, and there are times where there's a horror trope, a jump scare is coming, and guess what? You get the jump scare. But there's plenty of other times, as is consistent through his shorts and his feature, Milk and Cereal, where you have no idea what you're going to get and when you're going to get it, and he's going to make you feel off kilter the whole time. And so this movie has a really good mix of that, and I feel like he just took full advantage of, like, I've got big budget resources, big budget, lighting, production, sound, etc. And he's like, I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to give some really high quality scares. I'm going to give a ton of variety in my scares, and we're going to make it hit. Okay,
good. Acting and calculated horror, calculated scares. I like that. I got to ask this question because it's striking me now. I don't know why it's striking me now, but I'm thinking about the craft of it and the scary music, what's playing into that, or even the dreadful music, how they get them there. But do they play Mariah Carey's hit song "Obsessed" in this song in any way, shape, or form?
I don't know. Maybe they roll it during the credits. I was not paying.
Oh,
I was taking diligent notes at that time, so I couldn't tell you. But there were no like needle drops that I know of. Like,
okay,
in the
cool.
movie.
Why are you so obsessed with me?
Yes, I'm familiar
Yeah,
with
okay.
that. Yeah,
Just in
Thank
case you didn't
yeah,
know it.
thanks
Okay.
for the taste.
I
Though.
just
I
want-
appreciate that.
We'll roll that into the TikTok social for this, by the way.
It's
Just like
good.
just back to back.
You got it.
Shuffle through it.
Yeah,
And you're ready for take 3 just like that.
I'm gonna go with script maturity on this one, and just like overall maturity from Curry Barker on this project. Like having his first big budget movie. He's made tons of movies and tons of shorts, and all have been low budget. And so I was surprised and a little bit like sad that he wasn't starring in this movie, because I do think he's a really dynamic actor, and I feel like in every Curry Barker project I watched ahead of this, like he was a standout to me. And I even texted you and Stefano the other night. I was like, he's just such a natural actor. Some people just like get it and they can just click into it. And there were other people in his productions that were not natural actors. And so whenever I saw that he wasn't going to be in this, I was like, that's a bummer. But I feel like that shows a lot of maturity from him to be like, this is my first big picture. I'm writing and directing it. I'm going to trust my cast. I'm going to trust my crew, and I'm going to make this movie. And also in the script, this is far and away his best script. And it's something that I feel like all of his other projects were lacking, was just the follow through of completing the idea. I felt like times he would just like go for, I'm going to make this ambiguous, or I'm going to cut this off. You can do that and be like, well, it's interpretive, it's whatever. But a lot of times it felt like it wasn't that. It was just, he didn't know how to finish his idea. And this movie didn't feel that way at all. While there is tons that's interpretive and there's a ton going on thematically, it felt so cohesive and well fleshed out and thought out and very precise. Like he was very clinical with the different, locations in the movie. He was very clinical with the blocking, the lighting, the screenplay, how it developed, when certain things happened in the story. It was like very, very thoughtful. And so that for me showed me everything that I wanted to see here, which is like, he's legit. And this movie proves it.
This has been exciting to hear you talk about this movie, because again, one of my most anticipated, from trusted creators, trusted writers, trusted comedy writers, for Stefano, who had mentioned Stefano, from a trusted horror fan, horror creator. So this is really exciting to hear all of that come together, because it makes me obsessed with wanting to get to the theater and see this myself.
Yeah.
So let's go right into last looks. Let's wrap this up with a bow and tell us your score.
Yeah, I don't have a ton more to add, to be honest. Like I think it's a really well put together production, and I didn't totally know what to expect, because even though his shorts and his film were good, well produced, they felt low budget, because low budget is always you're gonna feel it somewhere, and this movie definitely didn't feel that. But I loved how he handled it. I felt like he had the right team around him, felt like he was giving the right direction. He clearly worked really hard with his cast, just hearing them talk about it, and also just seeing the product on the screen to create the right tone. That would probably be the last thing that I would talk about, is the tone of this movie. I think the easy comparison is to compare it to a Zach Krager movie, because like if you've seen Weapons, that's a movie that is very scary, also downright hilarious. This movie is also that.
Okay.
And what I like about it is, again, this is like the easiest, most low-hanging fruit comparison, so don't like throw tomatoes at me. But similar to Weapons, there are times where you are equally scared and also giddy and laughing, because what's happening is simultaneously very scary and very funny. And that creates like a really exciting, exhilarating environment, because I think a lot of the reason that people who like horror chase horror is that like adrenaline rush that you get after the scare of like, oh man, that was so scary. And this movie does that, but it also gives you this like euphoric feeling during some of these scares that's like, oh man, this is so funny, but I'm also so scared. And so it's like nervous laughter, nervous giggles, which is super fun. And I felt the same way like watching Weapons. I felt the same way watching lots of other great horror films.
Nosferatu, you know, like we were giggling going into it, that first scare in the first 2 minutes, and then like giggling after we got scared. So that's great. I love that.
So the tone is just like really brilliant, and there's definitely his comedy chops are on full display. So, really good overall. I have a few pieces of the story that I'm still like kind of poking holes in, to be honest. Like a few like, I'm not sure if that's totally sound, or I'm not sure if I totally agree with that, or this choice that they made, whatever. There's a few like tiny nitpicks, but overall, I think it's really good. I think audiences are going to love this. I can't wait to see what the conversation is like on social media this weekend when this thing like breaks containment and people go see it. Like I'm excited for that conversation because I think it's going to be fun. But for me, it's an 8.7 out of 10. I really liked it. And I haven't seen a lot of horror movies this year. I know, like, I've seen Send Help, which is kind of horror. I saw 28 Years Later. Again, like, I consider that like kind of horror. If you've seen The Bone Temple, and a couple bad ones. You know, I've seen a couple bad horror movies, but this is the first horror movie this year where I've really been like, boom, stamp of approval, very good. Like I was very excited about this.
That is a very, very good score. When I think about movies, so we see these movies for free, and if you miss the screening, then you have to go pay for it. When I think about this movie, I'm like, I hope I get to pay for this movie at the movie theater.
Yeah, it deserves it.
I hope I get to pull a second mortgage out to go and pay for this movie, depending on what format I'll see it on. This one I'm excited to go out there. That's exciting.
Yeah, people should go see it. I think, you know, movies are expensive. If you're like keeping your powder dry for Mandalorian or the back rooms or something, like don't like pull forward some of that June money into May. Make sure you see this movie. It's going to be a really fun theater environment. The environment the other night was like so excellent, so fun. Yeah, can't recommend it enough.
That is so cool. Well, thank you so much for Cam for getting out there. Thank you for listening, for watching. If you're listening on any kind of podcast platform that you love to listen on YouTube, where you can watch all of our videos, we're so thankful for you. You can check our handles at Popcorn for Breakfast or PFB Podcast. We're all over the place on social. Make sure you get to our website where you can listen, read, and hear all of our content. That's popcorn4breakfast.com. That's the number 4, popcorn4breakfast.com. Thank you again so much, and we'll see you guys real soon.
Peace.